Well, I was having a hard time with a lot of my addictive behaviors like smoking and my eating disorder stuff and cutting. And well, I went through the collage box and I found this, which was 85%, and then disaster. And I was like, well, okay, that goes well together. So I put it together, and then it didn't fit. So I was like, well, it's 100% because that's how I felt at the time.
It's hard sometimes to say what I'm thinking. Either I'm like not sure how to put it in words or like it's uncomfortable, but like to put it in a picture is a lot easier, and you can express an emotion. Like, I don't know, sometimes I'm feeling like grayish and you can't really say that to a therapist and have them understand. Art therapy is just a form of therapy that's kind of unconventional in that you express yourself kind of more freely through different mediums instead of just sitting and talking.
One of the things we're learning about trauma, so trauma is when something big and hard and horrible happens to you. When your brain encodes trauma, it does so in an area of your brain that's pretty far away from what we call our primary verbal centers. Trauma tends to be stored in an image-based way. You tend to remember the visual and sensory input from a trauma more than you are able to put it into words. So if you can use something like art therapy to access this thing that's living very far away from your verbal centers, then we kind of have an opportunity to actually make some change and process it in a different way.
At the beginning, I just started doing it. I didn't really think about it as art therapy. And a few days ago, I went back and analyzed it. I think that's a pretty interesting thing because when I saw it now, I kind of wanted to pick at the Band-Aids. But I think I did that because back then I wanted to cut, and that was the only thing I was thinking about. I don't have a lot of firm lines on my art pieces, but when I do, it's this like jail pattern, and I think that was mainly because of my psych ward, so I think that's interesting.
So she had been with us for about 6 months, and she did this piece of art, which is a bottle full of words, and some of the words are spilling out the top. And as she was describing it, she was saying, you know, sometimes I feel like a bottle that gets too filled and the pressure gets to be too much, and then the bottle sort of explodes. So a few weeks later, she started having a struggle again. And in this picture, when she's starting to worry about things, that word self-harm gets really, really big and really scary. This picture has kind of a bottle look to it. So this is her brain at work using this symbol that started to be really powerful for her, even when she doesn't realize that she might be using it. So indeed, her bottle's starting to look much more full than this bottle. And as the bottle gets really full, she starts to consider some of those explosion kinds of behaviors. Now I want to fast forward about another 6 months. As Virginia's getting ready to leave, she's doing really good work in her therapy. She's come really far. She's achieving most of her goals. Suddenly, she made this little jar. These things look much less scary to me than some of the other things that have been coming out of the bottle before. It almost looks sort of happy. It's almost like my feelings are positive and playful now, which is really true of Virginia and how she started to behave as her feelings and emotions started to change.
I think that some people would choose art therapy over other forms of therapy because, like for myself personally, I can express what I'm feeling through artwork better than I can through words.
Art therapy has helped me a lot because it's pointed out a lot of things for me that I didn't know, and like it's almost like a diagnosis pretty much, like things you don't really know about yourself you figure out through art therapy.
Looking back at my pieces, I've definitely learned a lot of stuff. I analyzed definitely a lot of my patterns and seen a lot of how I deal with people, a lot of dynamics about how I deal with my mom that I did not really expect to see through art therapy. You can see also how your brain works. I've been here for 1.5 years and it has been consistent through 1.5 years, and you don't really expect it to be, you're like, it's just art, but your brain works the same way every art piece. It has taught me a lot.